Hello, BookTube. Well, as you can see, I have a guest. This is Hannah from Hannah's Books. Not that she needs any introduction to any of you, but we thought we'd come on uh, and talk about what were we going to talk about? Late term abortion, Russian politics.
Maybe books, maybe
I
books.
think we're going to talk about books. Yes, we're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about what we've been reading. How's your reading been going?
It's been somewhat complicated. I've mentioned elsewhere that I have a sore shoulder, and because of that, some of the books that I want to read are not really the best books for me to be reading right now, partly because I get distracted a little bit more easily, and partly because I can't hold big books. And so things I don't have on my e-reader, um, are sort of off the table to a degree.
Off the
I
table to
have,
a degree because you are understating when you say a sore shoulder. Right.
I am.
Hear
Yeah.
that and they think, oh yeah, I just played bocce ball and now I've got a sore shoulder. And we're talking about something more worse than that, something that can just.
I'm I'm in the midst of surgery of scheduling surgery. So yeah, this is
And any
um
of you out there who you already know when that bookish people like to think nothing gets between them and books, but
yeah.
chronic pain will do it.
Pain will do it, and pain meds do it even more. So I'm loving the pain meds, but I cannot focus on books in the same way when I'm taking pain meds. So
Yeah, I've mentioned before on my channel, I've mentioned, that sometimes things do get between us and reading, no matter how much we love our reading. And I've had some commenters send me wry emails saying that the number one thing that gets between them and their reading is me.
it's
I'm making 10
true.
videos a day.
It's true. I mean, I love getting your videos, but yeah, there are times where I'm like, I really should turn him off and start reading some. But I've had two really big, not projects per se, but two things that have animated me a bit this year with my reading. And one is the 250th birthday of Jane Austen. And I've been loving reading all sorts of things about her. And especially my read of Emma, which was so different this year from before, which I'll
Really?
talk about later if you want. And the second is that it's the 100th of Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. And therefore, several new books about Mrs. Dalloway. One that's called a biography of the novel, and I've forgotten what it's the inner life of the character or something. And both of them are heavily of interest to me. One I've read most of, and one I've not started yet, but will. So,
Does that often do you often do that, or is that a habit that has grown with time, with age? This idea
having
of orienting
groupings.
around anniversaries.
Oh, no, I don't think I typically have been as aware of anniversaries as I now am with BookTube, but I've always had sort of a habit of reading a whole lot of books about one thing. And often when new books come out about something, while I might not have realized it was an anniversary, that's probably why several new books about one book will, or one author might come out in a given year. So
But the anniversary thing has been enhanced by BookTube.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think my knowledge of forthcoming books is not as random as it was before. Sometimes I had an idea, but often I didn't until very close to publication, at least. And then sort of the what was winning prizes that I wasn't particularly interested in is something I now know much more about, and it's expanded what I think about as the literary world. And then things like events, bookish event, not booktube events, but sort of literary world events like anniversaries. So, I didn't really follow that closely.
I'm always interested in the effect that BookTube has on people's reading. And my interest in that grows exponentially the longer the reader read before BookTube. Because
Yeah,
part of
that's
you
I
thinks
can
those
imagine that's
habits,
true.
part of them think you think those habits can't be changed after that much time, but they very much can be. I don't know
Yeah,
any dyed-in-the-wool reader who came to BookTube after decades of reading who hasn't had
yeah,
their reading affected by BookTube in some
yeah.
way.
Well, my reading has changed so much over the course of my life that, as a kid, I read mostly fiction. I read some nonfiction. And then when I went to college, despite the fact that I was a history major and studied hard in college, that I also read, a novel a week for fun. And And then when I went to grad school, the amount of fiction I read just almost completely disappeared. That I was, especially when I was reading for comps, and I was reading a list of 100 books that in 3 months I was going to have a huge exam on, and that these were like footnoted, thick, big, heavy books that I needed to know backwards and forwards, and so I didn't have time to read much of anything else. I did read a few novels, but not many.
But you lost
And
track of the publication of Jilly Cooper around that time.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, there was so much I didn't know. I read Possession then, actually, but there are not a lot of books that I remember well from those years. And then I came back to books, and it was through coming back to books after sort of an academic break for some complicated reasons that eventually found BookTube. So yeah.
And what about now? What about these days recently? What is making its way past the shoulder? What are you reading at the
Well, I'm reading a lot of Vent books right this month. And one is the Octopus, October.
October? Yes, indeed.
And I read two novels one that a lot of people love, and one that I hadn't really heard about before. And I didn't respond well to either at all. And I don't know how much that is just timing, or that I had the wrong expectations about what the books were. Um,
I think you were told what it was. You're just not, you were told what it was by me. And I said it as a law of the universe, and you don't want to yield to that. You're not sure why you didn't get along with these books, but
you're
the
suggesting it's
cranky
because
old
I'm a
windbag.
snob.
No, the cranky old windbag in your messages are saying it's because contemporary fiction stinks. Yeah, but
I
no,
did
no,
not say
I'm
it
not
that
really
way.
sure why I wasn't getting along with them.
But
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 listen,
yeah, I don't know that I've read that much general fiction actually, and I'm sort of realizing that I'm a snob, that I had not fully bought into that before, but now I think it's been proven.
I will come up with a list at the end of the year of 10 works of contemporary fiction that don't stink. But good God, randomly foraying, you are bound to be disappointed, especially if you love the Victorians, especially if you love a novel that is hammered together with perfect industry.
Well, I think that there were other reasons why neither of these books worked for me. Both are books about grief. And personally, I know other people have different responses, but personally, I found them just too um, almost denying of grief rather than exploring it and trying to incorporate it into people's lives. And so I don't think it was just writing style, or
Yeah,
a
yeah. In
happy tone that I wasn't quite expecting.
contemporary fiction, I mean, it doesn't deal very well with many emotional states. I myself have a crackpot theory about that. I think it's because the authors from the time when they were 8 years old have been taking mood suppressing medication. So they don't actually know what emotions are. They don't actually know what the riverine course that an emotion will have as it runs through you. They don't know that because they medicate when they start to feel that way. I could be wrong about that. But
I
whatever
think
the
the
reason,
problem with that is that I suspect a lot of lit fiction people are, we're in the same world, whether we read lit fiction or general fiction. And, both of those are whether it's medication or not, that sadness is not a feeling that people A, want to feel, or B, feel like it's appropriate to feel or to
yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, either whatever the reason is, whether it's my crackpot reason or not, in serious emotions, in contemporary fiction, eh, you're going to have a hard time finding someone who does those well. I
Yeah.
think. Certainly, I have found
Yep.
that. Grief, I think, is the hardest one to do
Yep.
represent in the written word. The most popular one, and you would think the easiest one and the most common one would be love, and yet I don't see that convincingly done either. In
Right.
most contemporary novels that I read, it's like they're written by some sort of space alien.
That's interesting. Yeah. Huh. It's definitely hard to write. I mean, as someone who's tried to write about grief and tried to write about love, it's hard not to sound just corny.
Yeah.
Even when you're trying to write honestly, it just doesn't, it's hard to put into words, I think.
So, has any of the reading that you've done recently surprised you in a positive way instead of a negative way?
Well, I was mentioning Emma,
Oh, right.
the Jane Austen's Emma, that it surprised me because I've been reading that book since I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 and loving it and always and reading it pretty regularly and thinking of Emma as this, strong character who makes a choice to be different and to understand how, that she grows up, that she gets to see some of her weaknesses. And on this reading, I was so struck by how much rather than Emma coming into a more adult idea, Emma and everybody else in the book marries who they were supposed to marry. That's just the support of the social system or agreement to be part of this social world.
I myself have never understood that reading of Emma, that she has, a gigantic awakening. I've never seen that in the book. I
Interesting.
get to the end of the book and she just learns a new set of rules.
Yeah. And she accepts. It's not just that she learns them, but she accepts them, that she's
That was
not going to tell the
hardly an awakening,
story.
but
Um,
but
and instead, Miss Weston's is setting up everybody, which is kind of
I
amusing.
love that Jane Austen never lets you go. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
just keep going back and finding new things to think about.
And I wonder if you had read it as a, you know, pubescent girl, you might have had a different response to it.
I never did. I never did read it as a pubescent girl.
Yeah.
That's a thing I'm just plain missing out on.
Yep.
I'm a little bit heretical. I know that in Jane Austen circles, it's supposed to be a given that Emma is the great book. Uh,
I still love it. I loved it
I do
this
too,
reading,
but
but I definitely
I've
saw
never
something
loved it
different.
anywhere close to Pride and Prejudice. Not anywhere close.
Yeah.
And to me, it's always struck me that the difference between the two is very conscious. That the reason that I don't love Emma as much as I love Pride and Prejudice is because of Jane Austen being aware of both books, as opposed to
Uh,
weakness in Emma.
interesting.
I
Interesting.
it always leads me to an absolutely heretical, absolutely heretical Jane Austen opinion, uh, which is that I'm glad she didn't live any longer. I don't, the one thing worse than Jane Austen dying of an easily preventable illness, what we could easily prevent, the one thing worse than Jane Austen dying with so many creative years ahead of her is a disappointing Jane Austen novel. That is the one thing worse, I think. So I'm glad we never got that.
So would it have been better if Trollope had died young?
It was, oh my. I thought this was supposed to be a nice, calm, happy book chat. Instead, we're tossing out heresies left, right, and center. No, I don't think it would have I don't think it would have been better if Trollope had died young, because I very much like the shadings of wisdom that enter into his later books. What would have been nice, and I feel like I'm betraying my guild to say this, it would have been nice if occasionally he had turned down a job.
Ah, yes,
I
yes.
have yet to do in my
And
life.
yet
I've
your rule
never
is
done,
never turn down a job, isn't that right?
but
So,
it would have been nice if he'd occasionally done that.
yeah,
I think his
interesting.
books would have improved if he'd done that.
So have you read anything that surprised you
Well,
recently?
I've got props here.
Oh, good.
Oh, I just have a couple because I didn't want to overwhelm. Uh, I read a book that comes out in October, this thing, Unabridged, about dictionaries, uh,
Cool.
and I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
It's
I
about
never got,
dictionaries in general.
yeah, it's about dictionaries in general. Uh, the author reveals the little-known story of how the brothers George and Charles Merriam acquired Noah Webster's
Huh.
original American dictionary and reshaped the business of language forever. And it goes on from there to, not only dictionaries, but how important they are and what we lose when they go away, which they have done. They
Yeah.
have away. I don't think the author is quite willing to admit that they've gone away. I don't think he is, but they have.
I was
Uh,
just cleaning off my bookshelf and there's one corner of sort of a prominently central bookcase in my house that has 4 or 5 different dictionaries on it. And I'm like, do I really need to keep these now? And yet I still love picking them up and just randomly like going through, especially when the ones with more etymology in them.
yeah, the
You
big white American Heritage Dictionary, fourth edition, with the white dust jacket, with
mm,
word discussions periodically all throughout, lots and lots of pictures, lots and lots of photographs. inset little photographs all over the pages. That fourth edition of the American Heritage is a work of art. It is the best, one of the best dictionaries that's ever been printed in America.
I don't know that one.
And yet
Fourth edition. I'll have to look for it.
I see it at the Brattle for $3 and I turn it down. Why? I would never use it. I
Yeah.
would never, just appreciating it isn't enough reason to have a big thing like that on your shelf. I would never use it.
Well,
I,
I was just visiting a friend in Vermont for a couple of weeks for my former co-writer because we were having sort of a writing retreat, and her partner, who was out of the country, has a huge book collection, which is just an incredible book collection. But Susan's wedding present to him was a copy of the Oxford English Dictionary, not the home version where everything is super tiny and it comes with a little magnifying glass, but the whole
oh
set.
my,
And I just like sat on the floor and poked through it for I don't know how long. So, but yeah, it was pretty amazing.
oh my.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't call this a surprise. I just my one reservation about it is that I don't think the author explored the subject as much as I would have liked him to. I suppose that's a compliment because by the 300 page mark, I was not only not sick of his company, but I wanted more. I
Or
wanted to hear more on the subject. I just don't agree with the Chicken Little sentiment that you have to espouse in order to sell the book to an agent or a publisher. I just think is fundamentally false. That we're in some, what does the subtitle say? Uh, the threat to the modern dictionary. The idea that if print and paper big dictionaries go away, something important goes away with them. I don't think that's true, and
yeah.
that element fortunately isn't strong in the book. But I wish it weren't there at all. I there's I don't I've just never seen the point. I'm on the front lines watching this stuff, and I don't see that at all. People still care about definitions. They just there's a
Yeah.
way to do
Yeah.
them. Just like with snail mail correspondence, there's a better way to do it.
And when people look things up online, aren't they, or at least I'm usually going to, the Webster site or the Merriam-Webster site or
Right.
something like that.
But
I mean,
I
so
think a lot of
often,
people don't go to a site. I think they're just long press on a word when they're doing it electronically.
oh,
Those
yes.
also those also are not ideologically skewed. You just get a perfectly workable definition.
Yeah.
And
And certainly on my e-reader, that you can choose what libraries, I mean, what dictionaries you want
yeah,
to provide
I
those.
think even on the Kindles, you're
Yeah.
also able to import your own dictionary.
Yes. Yes.
If you want to.
Which can be another language, but can
Yeah.
also just be your favorite book, favorite dictionary. Yeah.
And I I had another book that I was going to read last night, How the World Became a Book in Shakespeare's England.
Yeah. I saw you
Powerful
mention that.
scholarly thing, lots and lots of footnotes and everything. I intended that and this. I thought they'd go well together. I also read for Shorty September last night. I read HMS Marlborough Will Enter Harbor. That didn't take long. So I thought the two new books would be this and a book about the book in Shakespearean England.
Yeah.
But I got hijacked. That reading spot got hijacked by the usual suspect, Virginia Woolf.
Yes.
Hijacked
Oh,
that. I got
yes.
sent me a copy of
Yes.
Writer's Diary, and I just lost myself in here. Just lost myself. Even though I've read this a bunch of times, I still lost myself in it. I think is this the original artwork?
I think it must be. I don't know the cover, but it's beautiful.
Uh, well, I don't remember either. I didn't actually look around for that last night. I just fell into reading entries all about Virginia Woolf and writing. And we think with her long etiolated face and hands and the brilliance of her major novels, we think that relationship must be mystical. And oh my God, it's not. It's not at all. Oh, look at that. There we go. It's not mystical at all. It's it's purely practical.
Yeah.
Beautiful way.
I
Just
should pull it out and read it again. I've got a paperback on my shelf downstairs.
I had a little mass market paperback with her face on the cover
Oh, interesting.
forever and ever. And I was so gingerly with it because it was not sturdily made. Now somebody sent me a hardcover, so I don't have to be gingerly with it. That's wonderful. I can revisit it all I want. And it's wonderful to read about her writing, to
I've
read her
been
thoughts
thinking,
about writing.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing a pretty serious read of Woolf in 2026, or maybe even starting in November. Um, I signed up for this class, this online Zoom class, that was open to everybody and sort of advertised fairly broadly. And I seem to be the only person in there who is not like actively a Wolf scholar. And I mean a fancy Wolf scholar too. And so, I haven't even read all of her novels, I don't think. I've read the major ones. But yeah, so it's so much fun to be sort of a fly on the wall and get to watch them talking to each other. And
You were the only one there who could be called general interest.
as far as I can tell,
Boy, that makes you wonder how many things like that are online that nobody knows about.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible riches that nobody knows about.
Well, when I signed up, I was thinking there would be 300 people, and there may be 15, maybe only a dozen, and it's there were two in August, but then there'll be one per month all year round. And the theme is rooms. So a room of one on, but a room in each of the books, or the idea of, I don't know how they will work it out exactly. And yeah, and so a lot of the people who are in it are actually part of a circle that apparently meets in person in the UK, where they swap who's going to talk. And so, yeah, I mean, I saw it advertised several places. So the idea that, I don't understand, but it's been amazing. But I'm totally out of my league. So,
But you're
yeah.
thinking about diving into Virginia Woolf.
Yeah, and
What is
reading
that process?
more sequentially and more seriously than I've ever done before.
What is that process? How do you know? How does that process concretize? So that now it's just an idea. But is there a point later on when you will know, no, I think I actually am going to do this? And what is that process?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. The bigger problems are the class. I wanted to do it along with the class, and probably one novel the novel that's being talked about each month, and then supporting it with her nonfiction. And so that this year's sequence starts in September, late September. And I'm kind of busy this month, and I'm very busy next month. And I also know that I may be recovering and not be able to read for a while. And so just doing the basics of Victober, et cetera, will keep me quite busy. So I don't think I'm really going to be able to get started until November. Um, but I'm pretty sure I want to do this. We'll see how the class goes. If I'm just so over my head that I can't um, can't keep up with the class, that maybe I won't. But the first two I could keep up with as a viewer, not as a, you know.
What about the rest of your reading? So you did these things that were more or less tied to certain events. But what about the next book you're going to read? The very next book you're going to read? What is the alchemy involved in there? Do you have
Well, in
one?
this particular case, it's that I'm hosting two events this time, and I feel like I should read for them. And
We're both hosting October.
and
All
yeah,
I'm
yes.
reading for October is tentacle fiction. I feel wrong about doing that every day. Doing a video of that every day seems a little bit obsessive. You never know what kind of algorithms you're going to get on if you do that.
Well, I think I'm going to read some nonfiction about octopuses, but also for Framed, the art readathon. I'm doing sort of a Wolf adjacent. I'm thinking of reading one of the new biography. One of them is a new biography, and one is an older biography, but I haven't read, about Vanessa Bell, Virginia Woolf's sister, and her art. And so it's Frances Spalding is the old one, and the new one is Wendy Hitchmel. Do you know the new one? Is it?
I don't know the new one. The old one's great.
It's got beautiful pictures, etc. Um, and the one
Oh,
I read,
that's all event driven. What about you? What about
so
without?
so one of the things I love is biographies, and there are a bunch coming out this month. And one is is it Nicholas Boggs and his biography of Baldwin, James Baldwin, which I would love to read. And
Great.
Francis Williams about Wilson, Francis Wilson on Muriel Spark, which I read the introduction over lunch and loved it. I'm thinking I might not know Muriel Spark's work quite freshly enough to get everything I could from it, but I may just not worry about that and hope the book will carry me through. And then the main one that I'm really excited about is Francesca Wade's book on Gertrude Stein. And I loved her uh, Bloomsbury book. But but so I the Gertrude Stein book came out in the UK a few months ago, and I ordered a copy. I knew it was going to be coming here maybe in October, but I ordered a copy from Blackwell's, which ships to the US, and it came. And when I opened it, it immediately all the pages fell out. And I was like, okay, so this is a printer's error. So I called them and, offered to return it. And they're like, no, 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 but we'll send you a new one. And when it came, it was exactly the same. So I now have two big hardbacks of the Gertrude Stein book with all the pages loose. And
Did you ask them if their copies in shop are doing that?
I did ask, and they did not respond to that, but they said that they would not be able to send me a replacement for a few months. And I was like, or they could just refund me. And I said, just refund me. I'll get a copy in the US. So I'm assuming they're aware that all of their copies are probably, I mean, it's just too weird to have
Yeah,
that had to
that
be some
that
sort
book
of error.
it catches me completely on the divide that we all feel between your interest in a subject and your loyalty to an author. I love Francesca Wade. I would ordinarily rejoice at the prospect of any new book, but Gertrude Stein, a whole book about Gertrude Stein, just loses me. So I don't know what to do about that
And
book.
I'm sort of excited about it. The first time I read Gertrude Stein, I thought this is the craziest stuff I've ever seen. I was pretty young. I mean, not, I was probably college age or so. But then when my kid was little, we watched um, Mod Po, this Coursera class about modern poetry. And it starts with Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman. And those are just such glorious poets, but also videos. When it's a professor with his undergrads and a few grad students just chatting about these poems and having this glorious conversation. It's so much fun to watch. But then later in the class, he teaches Gertrude Stein, and Abe, my kid, adored her poetry. And I found that so fascinating that I learned a little bit more. And actually, I probably have it here. Um, Stein's autobiography of Alice B. Toklas has illustrations from the artist Maura Kaplan. Is that her name? Something like that. I think it's Kaplan. Kalman. And they're just beautiful illustrations. Yeah, if I had that out, I would show it. But so yes, um, I developed a fondness for Gertrude Stein.
I've never managed to do that. I've never managed to do that.
Yeah.
I, anything that she's written and anything I've ever read about her, I've never managed to. It's all just so. Ugh, ugh. I would say elephantine, but I've met elephants and I don't want to insult them. It's just. Ugh.
I think I enjoy the game playing that she's doing quite a bit more than I think you might.
Oh,
That
the
you tend to be really
gameplay.
negative about all of that.
Game
So,
playing is the kind of game playing that you do if you are running a salon with an iron fist. So you don't want to play the game? Oh no, you're playing the game. And the game you think is completely transparent and dumb and adolescent? Well, I don't think that. And you'll never eat lunch in this town again if you say it. So it just
yeah,
now we shall play a game. Oh God, it's just like a Dickens character. Like I just
yeah.
maybe Francesca Wade will be the thing. If anybody can do it, she can. Maybe that will be the thing that will
Well,
get.
if you read it and love it, let me know and we'll chat. So,
Well, I'll probably love the book just
yeah,
because she's so good.
yeah, yeah.
But the subject, I can't imagine. I can't imagine loving. Gertrude Stein. I can't imagine loving anything the woman wrote.
Loving is a strong word, but enjoying.
What's the book of hers late in her life? I've had so many people tell me that it is the strangest single book they've ever read. Ugh. One friend, I can't remember the name of the book. One friend of mine years ago had a grand theory about how female writer intellectuals always come out with a totally bat crap crazy book late in their career. This friend said that Simone de Beauvoir did the same thing. And
And then there's that new book. I'm blanking on who wrote it right now. About women's creativity in old age. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so, no.
Maybe 2 months old. Maybe from Harvard University Press. I'll look it up later and leave a comment when you post this. But I don't think that it argues that they do batshit crazy stuff. But I think it is about how there's this new flush of creativity, of a willingness to play
Is
among a
that
lot
what
of
it
older
is?
women.
Or maybe you get all the way to the end of your career and you think, well, I'm sick of even trying to please any expectations.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna write the kind of book I want to write.
yeah.
So many female writers have done that over time. It's got to be something that unites it because
And I believe whatever this book is, which I really ought to remember, talks about artists too, not just writers, um, but visual artists.
hmm, sorry, I'm a little distracted by my own middle-aged lady here,
Yes.
who is just being her usual self over there.
Uh-huh. She's like, he's talking books over there.
But anyway, we should wrap this up because I don't want to get caught in mid sentence. That has happened to me the last 10 times I've done a conversation. And
Well,
we're going
this
to
has
get back
been
into
lovely.
the
Thank you
novel.
so
So
much.
it has been a lot of fun. It's always fun to talk about books with a bookish person. That's always fun. Uh, and you were, as I mentioned before we started recording, you were in the front running when I suggested in an earlier video that I do a regular team up video with somebody else on BookTube. You were in the front running.
Well, after I begged, so
I don't think people noticed that. I think they paid attention only to who they would like to see. And there were two front runners, and you were one of them. So that
I
always.
can't wait to see some of your others coming.
I don't
That'll
know
be
who will
great.
agree. I am, after all, a leper, an outcast, a pariah. So I don't know who will agree,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm hoping that the shoulder at least allows book reading. I'm sure that
Yeah.
listening
Well,
is hoping for that. They're all wishing you well.
yeah, I think I'll find ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you have hurdles coming up because right now you're dealing with the shoulder, and then if you have medical intervention of some kind, you'll be dealing with that, and then pain medication. So hurdles to reading coming up, but hopefully towards a better long term.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
See, I'm as a sexy 28-year-old with an 8-pack ab, I don't have to worry about those sorts of things.
Hmm.
Someday I will.
The other thing is that you don't have hair, and I'm trying to figure out, I can't really comb my hair or part my hair right now with my right hand, so I'm using my left, which is why it looks as weird as it does. But I'm thinking, do I just cut it sort of chin length, or do I shave my head, or do I get a pixie? So,
Just have your surly houseboy take care of it.
yeah. Yep.
Is that what everybody does?
Well, my surly houseboy was my son, and he cut my hair all during the pandemic, and he's going to be here in a couple of weeks or
There you go.
less than that. So maybe I'll get him to decide. So
Well, I'm gonna get back to work, I say, but I may I may get back to Virginia Woolf. I may do that because I know perfectly well that this is going to lead me to her diary, just in general. I know that
yep,
it's going
yep,
to talk about a deep dive, but anyway,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
wrap this up now
Well,
and
thank you
we'll see
again.
you all down the line.
Take care.